back with my 1977 Corvette, and today we are here to discuss the much anticipated Edelbrock Pro Flo 4 install on this, my 1977 Corvette. I have scanned the internet. I had sifted through YouTube just looking for any little bit of information that would help me get this project done. But alas, there was nothing. And here I am to deliver you with what is needed to make this happen to your Corvette. Little plug here, it would greatly help me out if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel so that way I can grow. Let's get to it. To install this kit, it comes with nearly everything you need, but I am going to let you know the things that were not included that you will need likely if you are going to go through with this install. The Edelbrock Pro Flo 4 EFI kit comes with this high quality intake, the unit already installed on top, which is 1000 CFM, the ECU. I've mounted my ECU down where the cruise control servo used to be. It's very small. Now I've removed my cruise control in this 77 because I use the Intellitronics digital gauges. The computer is an easy install to find where you want to hide it. There are an array of sensors on the Pro Flo 4. Let's discuss some of them. So you have each well-labeled injector. There are 8. This is a true ported EFI system. You're going to get the best performance out of this versus a wet intake, and that is because you get true efficiency, true air-to-fuel ratio in each sensor, and the computer is going to take care of all of that for you. It's going to let you know exactly what the engine needs, but without asking you, it's just going to do it, and it's going to tune this engine as you go. The very first fire up is super simple, walks you through it in nearly 12 steps, and you are off to the races. Well, not literally, because you want this to learn. All right, from the very beginning, we removed the other intake parts, which came on this nearly brand new Hot Rod Company 355 that was built with 425 base horsepower as its target. We removed those brand new parts, the Holley carburetor, the intake, and HEI distributor setup, and we installed this intake the same as you would any other intake. Before you pull the distributor, you want to ensure that you are on the intake side or the compression side of the 4-stroke, and you want your timing to be set at 12 degrees before top dead center. That will allow you to follow along in the steps as you install this setup. What did I need in addition to the typical intake install? Well, here we go. I did not want to drop my fuel tank. Some may attack me for that, but guess what? Edelbrock makes this amazing universal fuel sump system. That I placed over here in the fender. It is hidden, it is tucked away, and it looks awesome. Why go with that system over dropping your tank, installing an EFI tank, installing the pump, installing all the components necessary? Here are several reasons why I went with it. Maybe you might too. First, they use this universal sump pump on all their research and development vehicles. Second, It has an electric Bosch pump. Great quality inside the unit. It takes your mechanical fuel pump, supplies the sump, and the sump converts it to high pressure. Perfect for this unit. Third, it cannot run dry or scavenge unless there's a major mechanical failure. You could take every turn in the world and that system will not run dry due to cavitation. Let's go to the next reason. If there's a rollover, there is an emergency rollover switch inside that pump. That pump is going to give you all the safety and necessary features that this EFI install needs. Last but not least, it is pulse width modulated. Alright, so that is a separate part that you have to buy unless you buy the kit with it, which I did on Jegs. Edelbrock has an amazing customer service, so to speak. I had to talk to them about installing this unit and what it was going to take to get it to run inside the 77 Corvette. And in that, Peter from Edelbrock told me I would need a Blaster 2 coil. I will put the part number in the description. The Blaster 2 is supplemented by the already included distributor. Performance distributor, excellent, included in the kit, but it does require the Blaster 2 coil. The mounting location I have for this coil is right here. In reference, it fits nicely. I had to purchase the Mr. Gasket coil bracket, which is not included when you buy this coil. So what other things have we had to purchase besides the kit? In the kit to include the Edelbrock adjustable fuel sump system, we had to buy that coil, we had to buy the bracket, we had to purchase a new kickdown cable because the original kickdown cable is 37 to 39 inches and this new cable is 42 inches. The original cable did not meet the requirements of the throttle cable bracket. We also had to purchase this fast EFI throttle bracket because the original throttle brackets that come attached to the intake will not work with the fuel rail. This was about $75 on Amazon, and I'll post that link below. Edelbrock does make a almost identical version of this, cheaper, but it's pretty much always on back order, and if you want this done like I do, these are the things that you got to do in order to complete this project. All right, so we've had a couple things now that we've had to discuss that required purchasing. So note, my PCV used to be mounted over there and it ran to the back. I now have it over here because they list this as the PCV port on this system. And I've teed that off to my brand new charcoal canister. When you install the fuel sump with this system, it does have a mandatory vent at the bottom that needs to route to the tank. Some people route it to the charcoal canister, and myself, I used the return line right next to the supply line down on the frame rail. During the install, there was several instances in which we needed to solder different connections and different leads. And most of the harness is well labeled, put together. You just plug it in and that's it. What did we need to solder? You can crib if you desire, but what did we need to solder? All right, there are two wires that come off the main harness for the ECU, and they're called fan 1 and fan 2. Those are negative or ground triggers for relays supplying your electric fan. Installing a relay is basic and simple. The fan that I have in the 77 is the famous Ford Taurus 4000 CFM 2-speed fan. So I said, well, I'm not using a dual speed. How do I set that up? Very simple. Using 2 relays, you connect them in series so that fan speed 1 is the low ground trigger. Fan speed 2 is the high speed trigger. Then you take your tablet, and the tablet can adjust what temperature utilizing the sensor which was already installed in the Edelbrock intake manifold, and you tell the fan what temperature you want it to come on. I personally set my fan to come on low at 190 and high at 200. Why so high here in Jacksonville, Florida? Well, that's because in order for the computer to continue learning, you have to meet that threshold temperature of around 195 to 200. If you let the system continuously run around 170, the computer will not learn and you will have issues. So aside from needing to purchase the throttle bracket, the new kickdown cable, I put that part number in the description, ensuring that my kit also included that fuel sump system. All I had to do was purchase the coil, the bracket, the kickdown cable, miscellaneous hardware such as these little crimps, and that's it. This is a drop base filter, and notice how it just sits nice and neat on this EFI as if it is still a carbureted motor. None would be the wiser unless you knew what these fuel rails were. Okay, this is the Edelbrock Pro Flo 4 setup. The perks of going with a ported EFI are proven. You can Google this, you can research like I did. It is not cheap, but for what you get, it is extremely affordable. The entire kit is comprised of very high quality parts, down to each 29-pound injector, which might I add can be upgraded later on if you go over 550 horsepower. Let's jump in. Before I start this, I just want to show you the tablet that they include. And while this boots up, I'm going to discuss that the computer will require a positive and negative ran direct to battery. There is an entry into your firewall right on the other side in the engine bay, and that comes out right down at my feet here. And you can run that 12 gauge or lower, positive and negative, straight to the battery using the ring connectors. Ignition is pulled from the old HEI ignition pink wire in the engine, and that's really all you need to connect aside from the fans. Everything else is included in the harness and just plugs into a sensor. I have my O2 sensor on this side The cable that's included is way more than enough to run from the ECU down to the exhaust. They do include a bung so you can get that welded, and they include the cap if you need to have the vehicle driven back home before you start the install. Alright, so it seems the tablet is started here, so let's see. Here is the app. When you first start the car, or you're preparing to start the car, excuse me, it'll ask you to open this up. And then with the ignition on, you want to sync up the computer to the ECU, or the tablet to the ECU. It takes less than 2 seconds after you click that. We are going to do all this in a moment once I start the car.
Alright, good morning. It is 0946, otherwise known as AM. I haven't had my coffee, and we're gonna do a cold start. As you can see, the engine's not yet synced up, so let's get to it.
So the issue I had before with connecting to the ECU is actually quite common, and it's a simple fix. Edelbrock has a video out there that says basically you just need to re-enter the serial number that's displayed, which when you click on ECU or the engine at the top with the X, and it pops up the requirement to enter in a serial number. Just enter in the 6 or so digits or 7 digits serial number for that ECU, and it will connect. We are monitoring one of the 3 different displays here. I can back out. I can go to the EFI dashboard, back out, e-tuner display, which is kind of neat. Tells you when it's self-learning, and that's based on the O2 sensor, obviously. The O2 sensor's learning constantly, so it'll turn on and off. One thing that I'm going to have to look into is with the Intellitronics gauges, I think there is a separate install instruction for LS engines, and I might be getting a little backfeeding to my indicator lights here. The indicator lights are actually not on. They work as normal if I, attempt to use them, but inside the cabin here, I see these little LEDs turning on and off. Aside from just a nuisance, they're not bothering anything. I'm just gonna have to check on the difference in the wiring with the new ECU. I will say, overall, I'm heading to St. Augustine right now, and the drivability is crazy. I mean, just putting the car into reverse, it immediately compensated for the RPMs and kept it exactly the same. I also noticed that as I'm coming to and from the stoplights, it's so much more smooth. And to help the ECU learn stop and go and slow and fast, I'm going to take A1A, historic A1A, and then I'm going to come around on 95, which is going to be about 80 miles an hour. Alright, I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. This is awesome. I'm not even playing around. This system is fantastic. Alright, so I've been driving for over an hour now. Still learning, everything's still green, cycling on and off. Fuel pressure's being monitored. Fuel trim is being conducted. Telling me I have no vacuum leaks, everything's good.